Good morning, everyone. Good morning, grads. Good morning, families, friends, loved ones, faculty and staff. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support and guidance for those past 4 years. So to the graduating class of 2026, to my fellow graduates, I'd like to begin with a question. A couple questions, actually. I want you to reflect your very first days at Bishop's. What did you feel when you arrived? What were you hoping to find? For myself, when I first arrived 4 years ago, I didn't know exactly what I was looking for. Like many of us, I think I was nervous, excited, and just trying to figure out a place to fit in. A few days into orientation week, I found myself standing on Principal Goldblum's front lawn at the time for a tradition many of us know well, Serenade the Principal. Hundreds of us were there that night, and we all sang a song about never graduating. What happened? At that time, most of us barely knew each other, but I remember looking around at that crowd and thinking, wow, this is where I belong. And honestly, there was something special about that moment. Not because of the song, not because of the tradition, but because of the people. And for the first time, university stopped feeling intimidating and started feeling like home. Bishop's is one of the smallest universities in Canada, with fewer than 3,000 students. In a world that constantly tells us bigger is better, Bishop's quietly proves the opposite. There are universities 10 times this size where you can disappear into a lecture hall and never truly be known. I guess that was never really possible here. At Bishop's, people notice when you show up, and they notice when you don't. Your professors know your name, your coaches ask how you're doing, your classmates become your neighbors, teammates, co-workers, and eventually lifelong friends. And that changes people. What I didn't realize during orientation week was that I wasn't just beginning a degree. I was entering a community. One that would challenge me, push me out of my comfort zone, pick me up when I needed it, and ultimately shape the person I'm becoming. That, to me, is the very essence of Bishop's University. A place where participation matters, a place where leadership is measured less by status and more by service. And somewhere along the way, many of us stopped asking, what can I get from this community? And started asking, what can I do to give back to it? So to the families and loved ones in the room, I want to speak directly to you for a moment. You didn't just send someone you love to university. You entrusted this community with someone you love. And I want you to know that Bishop's took that responsibility seriously. The professors who stayed after class, the staff members who checked in, the mentors, teammates, and friends who showed up for us during difficult moments, and obviously the phone calls home after tough exams sometimes. Those things may never appear on a transcript, but they shaped our experience more than almost anything else. So on behalf of the graduating class, thank you. Thank you for the sacrifices you made, for the support you gave us, and most importantly, thank you for seeing potential in us before we fully saw it in ourselves. For me, the Bishop spirit of community came alive through club hockey. What began as a student activity became one of the greatest learning experiences of my life. Not simply because of the games, the travel, or the championships, but again, because of the people. Through hockey, I met alumni who showed me what it truly means to bleed purple. People who graduated decades ago and still choose to invest their time and energy into students they barely knew simply because they cared so much about the community that once shaped them too. One of those alumni shared something with me earlier this year that I'll never forget. After a national championship, this person came to our team banquet carrying a watch. Years ago, while volunteering abroad with a national hockey program, a player gave him that watch after a championship game, calling him the most valuable person of the tournament. Not because he scored goals, but because of how he cared for people. For the record, I wasn't quite the goal scorer either. That night, he passed the watch down to me. And what stayed with me wasn't the watch itself, it was what it represented. The idea that leadership is not about recognition, it's about responsibility. It's about quietly showing up for other people over and over again. And maybe most importantly, it's about the idea that what we built here does not end when we leave campus today. What someone pours into you, you eventually carry forward. And someday, if we're lucky enough, we pass it on to someone else. Because the truth is this, What makes bishops truly special has never been the buildings or the rankings or even the traditions. It's always been the people who choose to invest in one another. So to the faculty and staff in the room, thank you for choosing a place like Bishops. You could have taught, coached, researched, worked almost anywhere, but you chose a university where relationships still matter, where education happens beyond the classroom, where mentorship is personal, where students are encouraged not only to succeed, but to become thoughtful, engaged, and well-rounded people. That choice has shaped every single graduate sitting in front of you today. And now somehow we find ourselves at the end of this chapter. If I'm being honest, it's a difficult thing. Leaving the Bishop's bubble is scary. We're leaving a place where our friends live down the street, where familiar faces become part of our everyday lives, where community feels natural and effortless. There's real sadness in knowing the people who shaped these years with us are about to scatter across cities and careers and countries. But there's mostly immense pride, because we now get to watch one another step into this next chapter carrying everything Bishops gave us. And maybe that's what graduation really is. Not an ending, but a passing forward. Une transition. Le passage d'une responsabilité. La responsabilité de s'investir dans nos communautés comme Bishops a investi en nous. De diriger avec intégrité, d'écouter avant de parler, de servir avant de se servir soi-même. Parce qu'au fond, Bleed Purple, c'est pas seulement que d'aimer Bishops. C'est croire que le collectif passe avant soi-même. So class of 2026, as we leave this place today, I hope we remember this. The most important things we gained here will never appear on a transcript. The friendships, the mentorship, the resilience, the confidence, the sense of belonging. Ce que nous avons bâti ici ne s'arrête pas lorsque nous quittons le campus. The Bishop's experience stays with us in our character, in our ambition, and in our responsibility to show up for others the way this community showed up for us. Wherever life takes us next, I hope we continue building the kinds of communities that once made a nervous first-year student feel right at home on a front lawn in Lennoxville. Once a Gator, always a Gator. Thank you, and raise a toast.